Hey guys, it's Kaz here, and today I'm doing the Two Sides of Darkness tag. This was created by Lucy over at Books and Brushes, so definitely go and check out her video. I will leave the link down below. And basically in this tag, there are questions and you answer with two different books. You answer with a book that you have read and one that you haven't. Or, Lucy explained, you could do a book that you have read or a book that somebody has recommended to you. But I'm doing have and have not. So, let's just get straight into it. Question 1. A book with dark in the title. For a book I have read, Salute the Dark by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is book 4 in the Shadows of the Apt series. I can't remember what happened in this. I've just read book 8. Stuff happens. It's a fantasy series, 10-book series about war and politics, and there's really cool magic system. And all of the people have different elements of bugs. So there's a wasp kingdom where they can shoot a sting out their hand. The fly kingdom are really small and can fly, obviously. All that good stuff. Book 4. And for a book I haven't read, And I Darken by Kirsten White. And from what I remember about this one, it is Vlad the Impaler retelling, but with a woman as Vlad, I think, if I remember correctly. Question 2 is Darkest and Prettiest cover. And the book I have read is in the same series as the one I just mentioned. This is Heirs of the Blade by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is book 7, and I couldn't not because I fucking love this cover. Wait, there we go. Look at how creepy it is, but in a really cool way. So yeah, all the same stuff that I mentioned in the first one, but book 7 instead of 4. I'll just throw in some more kingdoms. There's Moth Kingdom, who can see in the dark and fly. And also there's apt people and inapt. So the inapt have loads of magic, and the apt can sort of use technology, and it's really cool. It's like steampunky fantasy. Good times. And for a book I haven't read, Nevernight by J. Kristoff is pretty. And I genuinely don't know anything about this book. There's a crow on it. It's probably fantasy. Don't tell me what it's about. I like going in things blind. 3 is a hooded figure on the cover. Spinner by Michael J. Bowler is a book that I have read. It is like a fantastical horror mystery type of book. The main character is in a wheelchair. Here he is here, and here he is here. He's got a hood on. And he has powers so he can take away people's pain, and then his teacher gets murdered, and him and all of the rest of his friends in the special ed class trying to figure out that murder, and then there's weird creepy stuff happening. And then a book I haven't read, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. Here's a figure with a hood. And this is a fantasy series, and I'm pretty sure the magic has something to do with elements, like metal and stuff. I don't know. Again, another thing I don't really know much about. Next up we have Shows the Dark Struggle of Racism / Oppression. Ghost Boys by Jewel Parker Rhodes is about a young boy who gets murdered straight away at the beginning of the book, and then he's a ghost and he goes around and trying to figure out why it happened and what it means. And he can see the ghosts of all the other black boys that have been murdered, including the ghost of Emmett Till, who is kind of the one that is showing him around. It's a middle grade book, but it's very poignant. And then for one I haven't read, we have Dear Martin by Nick Stone. This is about a boy, Justice, who, like many other black boys, gets stopped by the police just for being black, and then that kind of triggers a lot of different things in his life. And I think this one is written like he writes letters to Martin Luther King Jr., I believe. Next up we have books with duplicity, dark characters and arcs. So morally grey, villain, redemption arc, etc, etc. So everyone in Deadly Class is definitely morally grey, because this whole series is about school for assassins. So everyone there murders people. So there you go. Definitely dark, morally grey characters. This is set in the 80s, and it follows Marcus, who is an orphan, and then he gets brought into this school for assassins, and then shit goes down. And here's a sort of artwork. And then on the other side of the things, I have Captive Prince by C.S. Burkhardt, and this one is in here because I know it's very dark and dark arc and plot, and I think there's a lot to do with slavery, and then there's also sexual assault in here and stuff. So definitely dark characters, but I think there's also some sort of redemption arc because people really enjoy this series. We're about halfway through, so since I've been talking about dark books, let's just go over to some of my dark sponsors. I have 4 black cats.
But he leaves a distinct injury on the body. Is this Fuller didn't have any of those attributes. Not one. Certainly not the 10 that Cliff described.
So next up is books with a dark alternative universe. The Marlborough Lens by Andrew Smith. In this one, you put on these weird glasses and then you go to this alternative universe where everybody is just going around killing everybody, and it's really gruesome and dystopian, and it's a very good duology, but it's very, very dark, definitely. And what I haven't read, Guardian by Alex London, is the sequel to Proxy, which I have read. And in this, there's this hierarchy where the rich people can just do whatever they want, and then the really poor people that have debt are their proxies, and whenever the other people do something wrong, the proxies are the ones that get punished, which definitely is a dark alternative universe. Next up we have books with a dark bullying theme. This one I've gone a little bit left field with the one I have read, and that is because it is a non-fiction true crime, Bully by Jim Shoots. This is about a group of people who murdered one of their friends, and then their reasoning was that because he was a bully and was always horrible to them, but then like they showed no remorse and they just beat him up and killed him, and when they were on trial they were all just like chatting and not even bothered and showing no empathy or whatever. So Bully. There's also a film version of this, if that is anything that anyone cared about. And then one I haven't read, something that's also slightly different, is Anger is a Gift by Mark Ashero. And I say this is different because when you think of bullying, you normally think of like school bullying or whatever, but in this it's more to do with bullying from people that are older, from adults, from police, from resource officers. Side note, I think it's so fucking weird how in America like schools have their own police. I mean, that is crazy to me, but also I can see why school shootings exist. But yeah, that's what this book is about. Next is a book with depression in it. One I have read, The Glass House by Suki Fleet. This one, the main character is depressed and he makes art out of pieces of glass, and then it's also a romance, but it's also quite dark. And then one I haven't read, Darius the Great Deserves Better by Adib Khorram. This is the sequel to Darius the Great Is Not Okay. The first book deals a lot with his depression. This book also deals with his depression, but also his sexuality as well. Next up, a book about the mystery of death and immortality. I'm going fast, you can tell my battery's running out. One I have read, Half Lost by Sally Green. Can't really say much about this because it's the third book in a trilogy, but the whole trilogy is about witches. There's sort of good witches and bad witches, a bit of an allegory for race, and this book deals with some dark shit and it's sad, but it's amazing and good, and immortality and death and all that. And then one I haven't read, this was kind of hard because I couldn't really tell from books without having to read all the synopses, but I've gone with Zombieland Volume 3 because in this series these people can see a black ring around people's necks when they're gonna die, and then if they don't die when they're meant to die they turn into zombies. So immortality and death. Last of the main questions is a book with a dark monster in it. One I have read, Zeno by Nathan Kuzak. This is a sci-fi set on a ship and then an alien creature exists and then all hell breaks loose and death and destruction and alien creature. And then one I haven't read, a little bit lighter, is The Beast and the Bethany by Jack Meggetts Phillips, which quite clearly is middle grade, so it's not going to be scary, but it's definitely got a scary monster on it, so it counts. And the monster wants to eat people, and then Bethany gets there and then she's like, no fucks given, not having any of it, I think. And then last but not least, a bonus is talk about two books that are unheard of, that are dark. So the first one I'm going to say, The Wicker King by Kay Ankrum. This is talked about a little bit, but not enough for my liking. I'll tag Kat over at Brews and Reviews. Who else reads dark books? I can't even think. If you read dark books, then do this tag please. Dane. I'll tag Dane. Dane reads. He's read 1,000 million books, so I'm sure he can pick some out. And yeah, let me know down below. Anything, say some words, I'll reply. And if this is your first video about me and you enjoy it, then please check out some of the others. And if you continue to enjoy it, then please subscribe, that'd be awesome. Anyway guys, I'll see you in a few days with another video. Bye.
What we meant by a stomp is somebody stepping hard down on something, like kicking them.